Hello, everybody. Welcome. Jimmy, how are you? Jimmy, what's new? Casey, how are you?
Good, Yaman. How you doing, bud?
Good. Looks like Jimmy's having issues. Hustle Town, how are you?
Doing pretty good. Just got back from another ass drive.
How was it?
It's pretty good. I gotta make sure I get my practice runs in. Went to Costco. The wife likes to go there a lot, so making sure she's able to use that. It was amazing. All the different obstacles that are in the way. I have absolute confidence that she's going to be able to do that.
Okay, great. Jimmy?
Yo, sorry. I don't know. Space is always messed up in the morning when it first starts out. I had a good long 2-hour FSD drive, only one intervention today. It was kind of my fault. I changed the mapping data right before a turn, and for some reason the car thought it could make the turn at the high speed, and yeah, it's kind of my fault.
Your sound quality is especially good today. What's going on?
Oh, I'm at home. I'm not at work today.
Okay. West 6, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm good. About Tesla, what's the latest on FSD updates?
Hey, not much going on today or yesterday. So we had a lot of activity earlier in the week, but nothing has changed since Wednesday. So it looks like the FSD rollout is on a small pause, which is not unusual. Typically, after initial waves, they take to see what's going on, to go through telemetry. And then we probably should expect either another bigger wave in the upcoming couple of days, or there might be a new version coming out. So we'll see.
A new version says about Tesla. Omar, what do you think?
I mean, man, we've seen a lot of new versions. But they are really shipping things pretty quick. The two versions I have on my car, 12.55 on the Cybertruck and 12.41 on my Model 3 are just phenomenal. Every single drive I did yesterday in crazy LA traffic, zero intervention. It is very reliable at giving you a zero intervention drive, even when something crazy happens, right? Like someone runs into the middle of the street and starts dancing right as you're driving past them, and it still just goes around them, does the right thing. Even on Cybertruck, it has all those same characteristics. Somebody was standing in the middle of the road on a narrow road, and it just offset and went around them without slamming on the brakes, without hesitating, just perfectly, just like you would do it. Before you can even think, let me react and take over, it's already done it correctly.
Yeah.
So I'm very
Just like-
impressed with the software I'm seeing.
Just like I would do it indeed. I see Salseg on YouTube Live says he was the 27th like on YouTube, and we have no clue in the replies here saying he was the 16th like. I really appreciate it when people tell me which number they were in YouTube live chat and replies to the space as well. So please go up to the top of our screens, hit that like button. You have to click into the YouTube link to do it. Right now we have a strong start, 31 likes. If we get to 1,000 today, we'll do a weekend episode. That is the goal, 1,000 likes. The record so far, the highest we've ever had is 396, which was 2 days ago. 396. If we beat that, we'll keep the space going for a little bit more. And if we hit 1,000, we'll start weekend spaces. Chill mode. Eli, how are you?
Hey, man, I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. What's the latest from the Middle East?
Nothing really changed. I mean, for the last 2-3 days, it's calm, quiet down. So back to normal, back to the normal tense and uncertainty.
I saw some reports that maybe the response will wait until after the election. Is that what you're seeing too?
Well, we hear a lot of things. We hear that they might do some stuff on October the 7th, to basically, um, to provoke us. We had the Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is the Jewish holiday of the new year. We thought that something will happen 2 nights ago. Yeah, man, they just like to, taunt us. So nothing is really sure.
Okay, so TBD. Machine,
Yeah.
welcome. I saw your message on YouTube live chats that you disliked the video. Why do you do that? I want to understand your psychology here. Why do you want to diminish a platform that gives you a voice that no one else does?
Well, listen. I just disliked it first to agitate you, and then I will like it later, which I did the other time too. So don't worry.
Okay. What do you think about the Cybertruck production ramping and now Tesla starting to deliver $80,000 Cybertrucks?
Well, it doesn't seem like they're ramping as high as people expected. They're about 1,000 a week. That's okay. It makes sense that they're going to get through the foundation series. That lasted much longer than I think people expected. So I expect as they move down that they'll unlock another lever of demand. And so hopefully their production capacity goes up. There was some analysis that people are thinking there's a decent backlog of Cybertrucks waiting to be delivered to someone based on the fact of the production rates and how few total SX and Cybertrucks were delivered last quarter, or this last quarter. And the fact is that if it was truly higher production of S and X, that wouldn't make sense for Tesla to do that and create such a backlog of S and X. So it's probably Cybertruck. So maybe I imagine cutting the price now, not Foundation series, will unlock that inventory to go to customers.
It is a huge milestone in Tesla's history and the automotive industry that Cybertruck is now reaching volume production and deliveries. This is obviously a product that will save owners tens of thousands of dollars in fuel and maintenance costs over the years, over the next decade or so. And it also comes at a time when other automakers like Stellantis, known for their trucks, and Ford, known for its trucks, are starting to struggle as well. Omar, what do you think about this milestone, Cybertruck reaching volume production and Tesla finally starting $80,000 deliveries?
Yeah, it's really exciting to see. And honestly, I didn't think it would happen this quickly. I was thinking, okay, if they're saying they're going to be profitable by the end of the year, how are they going to be profitable and also start producing non-foundation series? I don't see it. What I didn't see the possibility of that they've done is they're continuing to take foundation series orders. So essentially, you can cut the line if you want to buy a fully optioned Cybertruck, while selectively sending out invites to people who ordered in 2019 based on the order of their reservation to add in additional volume at a lower potential starting price. So they're essentially starting to mix in some non-foundation with the foundation. And eventually they'll stop producing the foundation series and the non-foundation when they feel like, from a cost perspective, they can do that. They can kind of phase it in. So it's a much different strategy. I think it should help volumes quite a bit. This thing was already the best-selling electric pickup truck at 100,000. And just to give you some context, Rivian reported deliveries today of 10,000. That's for the R1S, R1T, and the van. And the Cybertruck alone looks like it's almost double the sales of Rivian's entire business. And it looks like it's going to be profitable before Rivian. So, okay, if they were outselling the Ford F-150 and the Rivian R1T combined at 100,000, what do you think they're gonna do now that the starting price is 72,000 after the EV tax credit? It's going to be significantly higher volume. And now that FSD is available, you can option that, have people do subscription or purchase, and get that sort of ASP or ARR closer to what it would be on the Foundation series anyway.
Thank you. So technically, Robert, you have to mute yourself when you're on the speaker board. Come on, it's not amateur hour. Thank you. Omar, technically, the Cybertruck doesn't yet qualify for the $75,000, right?
I thought it said that it did, and if it doesn't yet, it should very soon.
Okay, great. Neil.
So yeah, I agree with you, Omar. What I think about Cybertruck volume is this: any truck that's 70K and above is either a luxury truck or a work truck. You need to have a write-off or some type of advantage to get that truck. If you can get it below 60K, a 40 to 50K truck is a high volume truck. So that's my theory with the Cybertruck. I think what they're doing is great. I think it has enough value and with FSD and a number of other features that it will do better than comparable 70 to 80K trucks. But I think to achieve absolute volume, this thing has to get under 60K somehow, even if it's rear wheel drive with plastic interior, whatever. Thanks.
Okay, great. Omar, I mean, I don't see that anytime soon. They're gonna need more production volume to get to 60. I mean, can you imagine if Cybertruck was $60,000 today, minus the $75,000 tax credit, and with all the ICE trucks at $70, $80, $90, $100,000 still? Can you imagine demand? They don't have the production capacity for that kind of price right now.
Coffee bet. 1 year from now, they'll start the standard range 250 mile 60K version.
Well, 1 year from today, yeah, I agree. Which actually leads me to my next topic real quick. But let me just ask, Machine, how much time do you have today?
I don't know. It depends if you're interesting or not.
Okay, let me get your views on today's employment report, because that was a hell of a change from expectations. The unemployment rate ticked down from 4.2% to 4.1%. And it was very close to showing up as 4.0. And the Fed expected it to go up from 4.2 to 4.4 in this report. So that's a massive change. It's going to have some macro implications, and it's going to have implications on Tesla as well. What's your kind of take on that?
My take is the same as what I saw from the Treasury rate, which is, well, if unemployment is stable and inflation is going down but not going into deflation, then why would you need to cut rates massively? And we saw the Treasury rate go up with this reaction, as it should, because you don't need to cut rates if everything's looking great. And I'm not saying that won't change with the next report or the next piece of information, but as you take each piece of information incrementally, right now I would say, hey, whoa, maybe we don't need to cut rates as quickly. I would still cut rates, just more slowly maybe than people were envisioning.
Omar, any thoughts on macro interest rate, unemployment rate topics?
Yeah, I mean, I think Machine nailed it. You are seeing that the whole sort of narrative around why we needed a 50 basis point rate cut is falling apart. On one hand, you're not having this, collapse in the labor market that some were maybe hyping up because they wanted to see a rate cut. And at the same time, you're seeing serious supply shocks that are potentially raising costs. It was great to see that the longshoremen are ending their strike, but that was a little bit of a disruption. It looks like it's not going to be, something that maybe poses a material risk to inflation. But you are seeing some risks that the balance of risks is actually tipping more towards inflation, and the labor market's not looking that terrible. So it's really hard to justify I think we could potentially see less than 100 basis points of cuts. That's including the 50 basis points we got. Just given that, it's looking a little bit like they maybe got a little too excited with the 50 basis point cut. In light of some of these more recent developments, maybe a 25 would have been more appropriate.
Wow. I mean, honestly, I'm a little shocked at the market reaction on one data point. We went from pricing in 35-40% chance of a 50 base point cut to now pricing in a few percent chance of a no hike after one data point. And the rhetoric here has changed quite a bit too. Interesting times indeed. You know, the medium to long end of the curve is also rising after today's report. 10-year yield, 5-year yield, 2-year yields are all up quite a bit. So that could mean maybe all the long rates higher for longer, a little bit more. So we shall see. We shall see. Okay. Let me go to a couple of new speakers. I had to move down a couple of people. I will bring them up. Nothing personal. We just ran out of spots. I hope that X opens up more spots for the speaker board. Let's go to Robert. Did you have something to say?
Yeah, I did, Yaman. And sorry about earlier. I didn't realize I was even on the speaker board. But just want to note about FSD. The FSD gods giveth, and the FSD gods taketh away. Last week, you gave me the opportunity to pray to those FSD gods, asking for actually smart summon. I don't know if you remember that, but very coincidentally or not, I received it midnight later that same evening. So thank you for that. I ran
Look,
tests.
I just want to say,
Yeah.
this is now the 69th time we're seeing this. There are FSD AI gods in this space. Okay, all you gotta do is to say a few good words and pronounce Ashok's name correctly, and you'll get your FSD.
Amen to that. Yes, and if you recall, I'm the one who mentioned the correct pronunciation of Ashok's name. So maybe this is him saying thank you. I don't know. Anyway,
and also you have to hit the like button. Those are the 3 requirements.
Absolutely must hit it. I hit it all the time. I go to YouTube, I immediately hit it, and then I come to X. That's my pattern.
I mean, yeah, exactly. Like if everyone did that, we get about 5,000 to 10,000 people listen to it in the first 24 hours or so. If everyone did that, this space would be as popular as like a CNBC or Bloomberg. Seriously,
I don't get why they don't do it. It's so easy.
Everyone should make it a habit. When you come in, just go to the top, click the link, hit the like button, and then listen to wherever you want to. I don't care whether you listen on X or YouTube, etc. But we have to get this channel at least visibility quickly, so that it can grow on its own on YouTube organically. So everyone who comes to the space, make it a habit. First thing, go up, like, come back or whatever. All right, Robert, so go ahead.
No worries. Absolutely. It's a muscle memory for me. I don't even think about it. So I ran tests for an hour in a large parking lot that same weekend, and it did wonderfully. I was really impressed. It ended up spawning very interesting conversations with 3 NYPD officers, 3 60-year-old cyclists, one of them a computer science professor, and a nurse. So the opinions were very varied. Some were nervous, some were excited, some didn't trust it. So it was very interesting. And then when I finished one of the summonings, the NYPD officers went to their loudspeaker over their police van and said, "Good job, like echoing throughout the entire park." Very funny. On the downside, there was a major regression that I'm having with 1254. I am no longer able to travel through the Queens Midtown Tunnel, which connects Queens to Manhattan. It was phantom braking very hard every few seconds for no reason at all that I could tell from the second I entered the tunnel. So I had to take over. Previously, it was butter smooth on all previous times through that tunnel. So I don't know what happened with this release, but I got the ass, but I lost the Midtown Tunnel.
So when you say phantom braking, are you talking about hard braking, just a little lowering of the speed, maybe 5 miles an hour?
Yeah, hard braking down to 5 miles an hour. The tunnel is a 35-mile-an-hour zone, so it enters it. It brakes hard. There was cars behind me. They're honking.
Are there traffic lights in the tunnel?
Nope.
Okay, yeah.
No.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes these types of issues can happen. It thinks it's seeing something that it's protecting you from. but that thing doesn't actually exist. So hopefully they've got a point update or an update pushed over the air that fixes that soon.
Yeah, I have the same hope because it was flawless prior to that. Omar, flawless. It's the first time I've seen it do that. I take that tunnel almost every day.
Yeah,
Machine.
I mean, how is it doing in Manhattan?
Manhattan itself. So when I got through the tunnel and I got into Manhattan, it was doing fine, except I passed by one of the police precincts and it got uncomfortably close to police cars that were parked not parallel but perpendicular at an angle along the left side. It kept hugging really close to them, and at one point I thought it was going to hit one of them. I didn't want to take a chance. I took over, whereas previously it had no problem with that. So there's actually two main issues that I saw that same evening.
Okay, we have a couple of hands. We're gonna go to machine next in a second, but we're going a little slow on the likes right now. So we are at 100 likes in 93 likes in 25 minutes. So we're gonna wait 30 seconds. So please take the time to go up there. Machine is gonna not machine because people actually want to hear him. I'm gonna count from 30. No, I'm not gonna do that. We're gonna wait 30 seconds. Take the time to go up there, like the video. Ad revenue from YouTube makes X space possible, free and open to everybody. We're up to 97. If you're watching on YouTube, let me know what number of like. That also leads to engagement on live chat, which also helps. And the other big thing that helps is sharing the video with your friends, family, colleagues. 103 likes, perfect. Machine, go ahead.
You know, Robert sees issues that apparently will all be eliminated in just a few months, as Elon Musk said that he has some version that is going to be at 10,000 miles per critical disengagement. Now, I think I would give him the benefit of doubt that he's probably defining critical disengagement as something more stringent than the FSD beta tracker, and is probably more closely aligned with something where you might actually get in an accident. So we'll see if that comes true. We've seen his claims about the performance improvements from the latest versions of 12.3 to 4 and then 12.4 to 5 to be a little over the top. So I'm going to assume the same thing's happening there. And so, Robert, your issues are something to really consider that, are the type that maybe it wasn't a critical disengagement, but if you slow down from 35 miles an hour to 5 miles an hour, at some point, someone behind you might slam into you, not expecting that much of a slowdown. And yes, it won't be your fault, but it's something, again, where we need to have very safe software that can be deployed as a robotaxi. Yes.
Jimmy.
Yeah, I had a couple questions here. Maybe Homars can answer them. When they say that they're deleting lines of code, are they wiping out like the database essentially and like restarting? Because I feel like my car on 12.3.6 was really good, and now it's like I hit them in the head with a rock and it's restarting and it's trying to relearn. And I don't know, it feels like I'm starting over fresh.
Well, it's a completely new model that they've trained from the ground up. So it is going to behave very differently. But, I think really for Robert, it's not going to take a few months for these issues to go away. I think they'll go away in the next few days. And they really have the facility here to now fix these issues much faster. So every time there's a new version of the model that's been trained, you discover some issues like this, some examples that maybe even the previous model handled before that now with the new data set, the new architecture, it's not handling as well. They then rapidly, do a series of releases, fine tunes, what we're comparing is the very polished version of 12.3 against the early version of 12.4, but 12.4 is far more capable. And if you have this annoying issue on your route that you take every day that it used to handle before, you might just say, hey, this sucks. It used to be able to do this fine. But we know that the model can be trained to do that fine. It just is having an issue right now. As they continue to refine this, it's going to completely blow away 12.3, in every way you can measure.
Dallas.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to resonate on that last point about the guy in the tunnel. I will say I don't have a whole lot of critical disengagements. I drive on FSD all day, almost every single day. The disengagements I have are speed related and lane selection. I did have one pretty scary one recently, and it was on the current version 12.5.4. Merging, there's a yield sign. My car decided it's not just going to stop; it's just going to roll in. So I actually had to take over there. I'm pretty sure it would have resulted in a wreck. I'm not quite sure, but I agree with Omar. I just think when a new version comes out, it takes a little bit of time to polish it, and we've seen that on previous versions. And I don't know. I would say be patient. Report issues that you have. Use that button. It works. We've seen this in the past when people, have a repeatable event that's a problem. Report it. I think they really do listen to those things and they fix them. So, and then I also wanted to follow up with one question. When Elon posts something saying hardware 3 is going to receive a smoothening or a polish in particular just for hardware 3, but we're being told they're all on the same existing model now or build. How does that work?
Yeah, it's
Called
unclear.
lying. It's called lying. That's the answer. In case you didn't get it from common sense.
Wait, who's lying? Who are you
The
talking about?
CEO, obviously.
I just want to say a quick word. I see some of my haters in the audience. Welcome to the space, and fuck you. All right, Omar.
Yeah, I don't think they're lying. Really, only somebody who doesn't use FSD could still call them liars at this point. The thing is literally just doing every drive perfectly. It's better than Waymo. And I think really when we talk about smoothing for hardware 3, they are running the same model. I mean, you can test actually smart summon, you can test the driving on city streets. They behave exactly the same. So I don't think they're lying that they've unified the models. So if you're saying, well, what does a smoothing for hardware 3 even mean then? He's not going into details, but there are a number of things across the stack that are different. For example, the cameras are different. Maybe some additional training data, some changes could make it work a little smoother on cars that have that camera. We also know that the hardware emulation for certain functions that are natively hardware accelerated in the hardware 4 chipset, and they've built it into a GPU kernel on hardware 3. So it could be that they figured out even a further performance improvement for that GPU kernel to run even faster. And that could result in lower latency and increased smoothness. So there are a number of things that it could mean. They didn't go into detail about what it means, but they're talking about what the end result is going to be for the customer, which is even smoother drives on hardware 3.
Robert.
Yeah, this is I just want to note I always use that feedback button every single time, and I leave detailed feedback notes because I know they're listening. On a separate note, I am so impressed with actually Smart Summon. I cannot tell you enough. I am holding an event this weekend for some friends and family. I'm calling it the Robotaxi Simulation. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a parking lot. I'm going to have my friends and family members ride in the back seat while I summon the car around the lot. Last time I was just me doing it, with nobody in the back seat. So this will help open up their eyes, because what I notice is people, they get that sensation when they're in the back and there's no one in the driver's seat. It's a much different perception and feeling than when there's someone sitting in the seat supervising. I encourage everyone to do the same thing.
All right. By the way, I heard a couple of people say Elon's lying and everything, but soon is a relative term, especially for a guy who thinks in decades machine. And James Kett also said the same. But it will get to 10,000 miles between critical disengagement at some point. And soon is a vague term that if you rely on it, you're unreasonable, according to their lawyers. So go ahead, machine.
Well, that was my first response to that tweet. You should read my tweets before you comment on my thoughts, since they're all well explained. And I said, quote, soon is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that statement. So
yeah,
we
exactly.
agree.
And this is why we have Tesla Live, where we kind of,
And
put things in context.
yeah, and I apologize. I'm just a little triggered by all the comments I see on your X
Right.
and YouTube Live. So let me go through a few through them here. Some schmuck said, "Machine sounds like the kind of guy that runs through rich neighborhoods just to flirt with Karens." Now listen to you, buddy. Just because I actually do run through the richest neighborhood in the United States, Atherton, and there's 70-year-old women, maybe even 80 years old, who said as I walked by, like, wow, look at the body on that guy, doesn't mean I stopped to flirt
Nobody
with
said that. Nobody said that.
Absolutely.
Never.
It was very disturbing, actually, because they were extremely old, and I was like, oh my God. That was very disturbing comment. Another comment, which was not to me, I'm totally going to derail this space now, was someone telling Eli to just leave Israel and come to the US. It's safer. And I think they're saying it to be
Ellie.
nice. And Eliyahu, okay. And I find this is totally ridiculous, and this is exactly what Palestinians want. They want all Jews to leave Israel. So no, that's not what you want Eliyahu to do. Thank you.
Wow. The more you talk, the more likes we get on YouTube live chat. And Needy Tortellini, thank you very much. Nordic says Turkish legs and Swedish blonde hair. That explains. All right, let's go to Wessex.
Hey, Yaman. So I wish I was able to participate more over the last few months, and I hope to do more in the future. And I'm going to have to run in a second. But real quick on a Palantir conversation yesterday, I wasn't able to participate. I wasn't around, but I listened to it last night. Really good stuff. In the future, when you do another Palantir one, please bring me in. I think I could ask a lot of questions and add some value for the audience. I'm a long-term investor, but I'm also really technical from a software standpoint and able to communicate kind of on a simple business level. I think I can be helpful next time.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a great conversation led by Uzi, who's in the audience right now. And he did a great job interviewing Chad, Palantir employee. And we had about an hour. I learned a lot from the conversation. And I look forward to more conversations like that. And for it to be possible, this channel has to grow. The more it grows, the more likely that we're going to get employees and other investors that we may not be on their radar right now, but at some point with your help, we will be. So take a moment to go up to the top of your screens and like this video, and so that we can get to that point. It's going to happen with the community efforts. It's not going to happen without your help. Omar.
Yeah, I think Elon's tweet that they're soon going to release 10,000 miles per safety critical intervention is one of the most obvious statements in the world. It's like it's night and he's saying, well, soon the sky will be blue. Of course it will. And people are getting upset about it. If you've used the software, just look at the progress they've made. People keep forgetting. When version 11 went to version 12, they said, it's never going to get better. When version 12.3 went to version 12.5, it's never going to get better. And yet they keep shipping these new models that completely take the experience to a whole new level. If you look at the roadmap, they hit every item for September. In October, it says they're going to be releasing FSD 13. Okay, so what is in this model that is worth calling it FSD 13? After even major improvements were called, 12.4.2 versus 12.4.1. This is something big. They're going to keep having groundbreaking new models that are going to make the car drive better and better. By my measure, I'm only having a safety critical intervention now every 500 to 1,000 miles. It shouldn't be surprising to anyone that he thinks that this number is going to 10x. It's just a question of, well, okay, when can they actually get that update out? It isn't really a definitive statement, but I think really one thing we can say for certain is that the new models that are coming out, including FSD 13 this month, are going to continue to perform better and better.
Good. Let's go to machine, then Mike, then Jimmy.
Well, I just wanted to comment. There was a hilarious comment in YouTube chat that Nadia said, one of the elderly I take care of went home with machine that night. And I would just want to say that's not true. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, YouTube live chat is something else. Mike.
Hi, Yaman, and thank you. I back to Palin. I've started dev in this company, and it's I have ever seen.
Mike, you're cutting off. Is it possible for you to kind of get to a better connection? In the meantime, Jimmy, go ahead.
Yeah, I had a question. I still don't know what a critical engagement is and how Tesla measures it, because if I step on the brake, I avoided possibly a critical, problem, like running into another car that's pulling out in front of me. So how do we measure that? And I also noticed in this version, when I step on my brake, I no longer get you disengaged. What is wrong with the vehicle? The only time I get that is when I break it through the wheel. So what's up with that?
I mean, we don't know the definition of how Tesla defines it, but the way I define it is it going to lead to a crash that would trigger your bad, basically? Omar, do you have a different definition?
Yeah, that's about right. I mean, really what you would want to be seeing in the data is that people are not having to take over to prevent a crash, and that even without any interventions or, sort of unsupervised, it would be able to perform at a level that's better than humans.
Alice.
Did you call my name? I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I think on this conversation of, as we're seeing the obvious increase of mileage in between whatever is a critical disengagement, I think it's more abundantly important than ever to make sure that we're all supervising. I know that sounds so obvious and I sound like the safety Nazi here, but as this thing gets better, which it's obviously going to do with the increase in compute and the fleet and all that, the more the system becomes consistent and safe, the less people are going to pay attention. They're going to become so complacent with, oh, my car just drives me to the grocery store, or one critical disengagement for every 10,000 miles is still a critical disengagement. So there's still that possibility of your vehicle smashing into a school bus. So watch the road, keep your hands on the steering wheel. Don't look at your radio the whole time. I see people doing that all the time.
Jimmy, in a hustle town.
Yeah, can I just say I was getting pretty complacent in 12.3.6, and I actually really do enjoy that they're monitoring my eyes now, and it just works a lot better without the nag, but the nag of I got distracted. It's a vast improvement in my opinion. It makes me more aware as a driver.
Okay, let me go to Chris Landis. Chris, did you have a point? A question, Chris? Points? You've been hanging out on the speaker board. Come on. Unmute yourself for us to hear you. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Uzi.
So something you and I talked about in our deeper conversation was, I guess, we had the chart in front of us, and I questioned at what miles to critical disengagement is robotaxi capable. And I'm not sure exactly where we landed, but for surpassing. It was the way the chart went was 10,000 to 100,000. So I assume within next couple of months, once 10,000 miles per critical disengagement is surpassed, maybe that's when we really start seeing robotaxi, have a deadline.
Yeah, I wouldn't. He says soon. What does soon mean? We don't know. Okay, so
2 weeks.
I hope it happens in 2 weeks or 2 months or 2 years. But we'll see. Also, town.
Yeah, the only critical disengagements I have is when the car moves forward too far somewhere and then it's just like take over. I have a feeling that when it's able to reverse, which I think will include a lot of version 13, that's when you'll see the critical disengagements start to evaporate because the car is going to be able to maneuver itself and get it out of those sticky situations where it's like, please just take over. So once reverse happens, that's when we'll see those critical disengagements start to go away.
Machine.
Speaking of getting out of sticky situations, I was with Yaman's mom, and never mind. But really, I just came up again because where Omar just says ridiculous things. I don't know where he gets it from. When did Elon? All of a sudden, he's like, "Oh, this version with 10,000 miles per critical disengagement is coming in a month." Where do you get that from? Where is this? Everyone's all of a sudden like, "Oh, I'm waiting for this version that's coming in a few weeks. I'm waiting for Model 2 coming by the end of the year." Where are you guys getting this from? You take one little snippet of information and then you spiral it out of control into some insane rumor. It's almost like it starts with Sawyer, I believe. I see him as a speaker now. He tweets out one little piece of information. It's not his fault, but then everyone's salivating, just like, "Oh my God. Oh, there's going to be a new version of vehicle on the Model 3 line. Oh, it's got to be the Model 2, the 25K Model 2, even though Elon said they're not going to do 25K, but we're going to have it. And it's going to be by the end of this year."
All right, we have Sawyer in the speaker board. I have a question for him. He knows what question I'm going to ask him next. But before that, I want to say a quick word of thank you to our sponsors. And while I read these audio ads, if you're in the audience, please take a moment to go up to the top of your screens into the Nest, click that YouTube link, and click the like button on YouTube. It's really, really, really important to get the like rate up to 1,000 per episode. That's the only way this space is going to survive. Okay, so Tesla Live is proudly sponsored by Joa, your go-to source for premium Tesla accessories. And because you're part of the Tesla Live community, Joa is hooking you up. Use code TSLA Live for a special discount. And Paymore. Paymore buys, sells, trades, and recycles electronics because Paymore believes the best technology doesn't have to come at the cost of our planet or your wallet. Join the Paymore revolution. Listen to Sawyer and visit one of their 100 stores near you or visit paymore.com. Sawyer,
What's going on?
do you still think Rivian is going to survive?
Yeah, I figured you'd ask that. Yeah, no, I do. I mean, certainly bad news today with their Q3 delivery report and them cutting or revising their annual production guidance by 10,000 units almost, which isn't great, which is lower than last year's production guidance, which is not good. And I'm curious what part is shared between the R1 and RCV platform that is causing this issue. But I don't think they're going to hit their, I think in Q2 earnings or Q1 earnings, whatever it was, they said they were on track to be gross margin positive by the end of the year. And I don't think they're going to hit that, obviously. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough road for them ahead, but I still think that their partnerships with other automakers, I still figure they can get money from elsewhere if they need it, but that could change. Who knows?
Omar.
Yeah, just in response to what Machine said, I'm not saying that version 13 is going to have 10,000 miles per critical disengagement, but the Tesla AI team put out a tweet with their roadmap. They hit every milestone in September. In October, they said they're going to ship something called FSD version 13. Now, usually when you bump the major version, it's something significant. Elon made a comment about 10,000 miles. That's just a comment. Whether it actually achieves that or what the level of reliability is, we'll have to see once it ships this month or maybe in November if it's late. So I don't know if it'll be 10K, but I think it must be something significant if they're going to calling it version 13. Then in terms of the more affordable vehicle, I mean, they've been pretty transparent at this point. They say they're building this new vehicle on the Model 3 and Y line. I don't think it's going to be 25K because they said by moving it onto the Model 3 and Y line, we weren't able to realize all of our cost savings targets. So I think that maybe puts it more in 30K range. Um, but they are going to be making it on the Model 3 and Y line, and it's going to have a lot of the same platform components as the Cybercab. So same motor, same battery pack, that type of thing. And they're supposed to start producing it in the first half of 2025, but they haven't showed it to us yet. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get a peek or at least a hint at these new, more affordable models that are coming next week on Thursday.
That would be amazing. Thank you, Omar. Sawyer, any news on your front? Would you like to talk a little bit about the $80,000 Cybertruck orders opening up? Have you been getting some DMs, people ordering? What's the demand like so far from what you can see?
Yeah, I probably got 30 DMs from people last night that got invited. People are only getting invited via email right now, so that's why people are being confused because it's not on the online configurator yet. The Foundation series is only on the online configurator. So I suspect it's just for early reservation holders that are getting emailed right now. And also the EP, the range is a little bit lower, and I think that's just because the new EPA standards. It's 325 versus 340 on the Foundation series. But yeah, I think it doesn't qualify for the $7,500 EV tax credit yet. Not sure why. I assume it will in the near future, but as of right now, it doesn't. So for the people ordering that want to take advantage of that, just be cognizant of that. But yeah, I think demand will be good. I think people are really excited about it, and the Cybertruck is already the #1 selling EV pickup truck in the U.S. at $100,000. Now it's 20% cheaper, so I think it'll do well.
So didn't I see something about the Foundation series qualifying for the tax credit or something like that a few weeks back?
Yeah, so earlier this year, I think it was earlier this year, Tesla put on its Cybertruck online configurator that it will qualify for the EV tax credit later this year. And they took that off once only the Foundation series went on the online configurator. So it will, it's just a matter of when.
I think I remember seeing it on the approved list, but maybe it needs to get reapproved as a non-Foundation series versus a Foundation series.
Yeah, maybe.
All right. Any questions for Omar, Sawyer, or anybody else on the board? Please request to speak. Okay, West 6.
Hey, yeah, just real quick. I'm crazy excited to have received an invitation to go to Los Angeles next week. So I'll be going over there and hope to meet Omar and Sawyer. And if there's anybody else in the audience, maybe you could do like a heart sign or something if you're going. It'd be great to meet a lot of you folks.
Awesome. Machine.
I was not invited, and that's okay. But I'd just like to say that Wes, if I went, I would actually like to meet you, unlike the rest of the speakers. I don't care about
Likewise.
Okay. Feeling the love. Uzi.
Yeah, I saw yesterday Tesla's securitizing $783 million of debt for car leases. Can anyone provide color on that?
It's regular practice. I wouldn't think too much of it. Mike.
I'd like to thank Yaman and Uzi. Thanks very much for setting that call with the employee from Palantir. Wes, you mentioned about a half hour ago that you're very familiar with Palantir. I have a question for you, if you don't mind. I'm trying to figure out this company. And a very specific question that I'd like to ask anyone who can answer. To what extent is Palantir not a traditional McKinsey consulting company? And my point is, they go into companies and they build processes, digital processes to automate their business. What I want to understand about Palantir, how transferable is what they bill for example, Boeing. How transferable is the software that they bill for one client? How is it transferable to other clients?
Yeah. I don't want to talk too much about Palantir today because we talked extensively yesterday. I recommend people watch that episode. Yesterday's episode, we had an employee come in from Palantir and answer a lot of questions for an hour. And we can have another dedicated Palantir section. But Wes, would you like to answer that question real quick?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. It is a difficult question to answer. And I think, every company is unique, but what I think is transferable would be industry knowledge. So I believe, Airbus, for example, is a client. And, they've mentioned the healthcare industry, for example. They're able to leverage as they grow their, let's say, healthcare clientele. They're learning, but Palantir is learning best practices and such within those sectors, and then able to add value to future clients within the same sector. Beyond that, I just don't have I'm not a client myself, so I don't have visibility enough to go or to
Thank you.
speak further than that.
Omar?
Yeah, I used to say this kind of thing myself, and this has been something people have been saying about them for decades. But it's not like they're doing a ground up software project for each company. They have this shared sort of Palantir software that they're all using that any government or company can use, or even a random person can now sign up and kind of, make a Palantir account and use their solution. So it's like there's nothing shared. They're all using this shared sort of Palantir system.
Okay, good. All right, back to Tesla. Let's see. Sawyer, can you tell us about the new inventory discounts that just came online last night? Which models, how prevalent they are, and also how does that compare to, let's say, the first early Q3?
Yeah, so a few months ago, Tesla put out some inventory discounts, but it ended up being a website error. So I was a little hesitant to report this last night, but I went ahead with it anyways. So they introduced inventory discounts for 4 trims, essentially the Model 3 long range rear wheel drive, and then the long range all wheel drive. Same thing for the Y, long range rear wheel drive, and then all wheel drive. The S and X don't get any discounts, and the the performance models don't get any discounts in the 3 and Y. But you get up to $2,500 off. I checked in different zip codes all around the U.S., so it seems like it's all widespread. Canada also gets these discounts, but I didn't add those. But these are smaller discounts than what they offered, at the beginning of this year, which are upwards of $5,000 to $6,000 off, at least for the Model Y. And they're also not offering any promotional rates right now, at least in the U.S. They probably will because it's Q4. They're going to want to hit that delivery number, the highest they can, to reach 1.8 million, to at least have flat year-over-year growth. It'll be tough, but it's possible. But for now, at least, they're offering these.
Interesting. So they got rid of the promotional rates for now. It's probably going to come back, but they started out with a new inventory discount, just like was the case in Q1, but much lower level of discounts.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Omar, anything to add on that front?
Yeah, we got to make this a record Q4. I don't want to see us do any less than 484K, and that's going to require probably some crazy sales incentives.
Yeah, I think Q4 is going to see across the automotive industry probably record incentives that we've seen a long time. So it's going to be exciting times. Neil?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I guess my spaces is messed up here. No, I'm sorry. I thought I was a listener. I didn't realize it was on the board. Let me refresh.
Okay.
I want to talk about Rivian.
You want to? Man,
Yeah.
it is such a contentious topic. Like every time I open my mouth, every time I start saying Rivian, all these like people flock out of nowhere. They're like appear and then start like saying all sorts of stuff. And it's crazy how passionate their crowd is. And I just hope that once Rivian goes bankrupt, they can come back to the Tesla community and we can actually make sure the world transitions to sustainable energy under the one company that can actually make it happen instead of just talk about it. Machine?
I don't know if I mentioned, like a month ago, I was meeting some friends and some people I didn't know, and one guy seemed like he's pretty well off. He sold a business, so I think he was doing well. But then he mentioned that he had almost all his money riding on Rivian, and I was very, very shocked. And I didn't, me, I'm very cautious with my words, and so I didn't want to insult him. So I just said, "Oh, that's interesting." Meanwhile, of course, I wanted to be like, "Do you know what their margins are? Like, do you know they're going to dilute, right? You personally, you're going to lose a lot of money in the meantime. So be ready." But I didn't say that.
So in
and-
order to not be rude, you ruined his life.
Well, it wasn't part of the conversation flow, Omar. I know you don't know about these things, about interacting with people in the real world, but there's nuance to the ebbs and flows of discussions, and I wasn't going to just interrupt everyone's discussion to start ranting about Rivian gross margins and operating margins and dilution. No one else would have cared. So yeah, I did ruin his life.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, people get really protective of their holdings. No question about it. Personal finance is a touch subject. Neil?
Not concerned about my Rivian holdings, but I want to be honest about Rivian. They are facing their 2008, 2009 Tesla moment, right? Like, unfortunately, this is the worst time ever to be a luxury EV company, just like Tesla had that same challenge. So let's see how it goes, guys. But this is tough.
And,
This is
and
tough
this
as it
higher for
gets.
longer isn't helping either.
This is the worst.
Machine.
I'm still of the camp, obviously, having shorted Rivian a few times, that they're going to go lower first. But I'm not sure if they're going to go bankrupt. I still think there is a potential ability to get to, gross margin positive at some point and not just massively burning cash.
Dude, how
but
can
it's
you
hard.
say that when their production is way
know.
above deliveries? They can't even
I-
deliver the cars at discounts. How
I
can you
know.
lie to my audience?
It's embarrassing right now, honestly, because obviously they're lowering their production and deliveries, and so no, you're not going to get to
Listen,
scale.
this is no laughing matter. We do not want. I honestly, like, people don't believe when I said this. I don't want companies to fail, people to lose their jobs. They do make a good looking product, but obviously looks aren't everything. I know Machine disagrees with that. This is very superficial, but that's the reality right now. And we've been talking about Rivian's financials in depth in this space for years, and everything is kind of playing out as we had predicted. Machine.
So yeah, I mean, my viewpoint is stay away from the stock right now. I expect the next quarter the financials not to be great, and obviously they're not going to be great on the top line. But if they do show improvement somehow in their gross margins from their whole,
Dude, how is that possible? Okay, you know what? I'm going to go to Neil.
No,
Neil?
listen. From
You're just bullshitting, Neil.
No, because all their claims from the beginning of the year, which are probably BS, or the end of last year, about we're gonna, we got better contracts coming up and all this stuff, which should still improve things even if they don't have operating leverage from volume production. So if there are some signs of that, then there could be a solid market response. I don't know. My point is wait. Mostly, if this stock is like $5 and then they show some signs of life, it could be a great investment at that time. But right now, it's entirely too risky.
Neil, then Omar.
Okay, I'm just going to tell you about Rivian stock. Do not underestimate investor stupidity or hate of Elon. Money will flow into this company for those reasons. Thank you.
Omar.
Yeah, well, just for the audience, maybe we could start with, just going over what happened. So they released their production deliveries. They came in significantly under expectations. They delivered 10,000 vehicles, and it was like 10,018. It's like, man, they really fought for their life for those last 18 vehicles. Probably they had staff buying them so they don't report a number under 10K. But now the Cybertruck is starting at 80K, and that can't be helping either. The prognosis on sales doesn't look good. They're blaming it on some type of production issue. But man, I mean, when you promised everyone you're going to get to gross profit neutral by the end of Q4, you need to make sure there's no production issues or supply chain issues that are going to derail that. And they're going to miss that target now with this forecast, right? So they've kind of given the excuse for why they didn't make it. Even if they had achieved gross profit positive, their OPEX is so huge that it would have bankrupted the company within a few quarters. But they're still, they're still even gross profit negative now. So I do think they'll achieve.
I don't think people understand the significance, like the actual what's going on. It's not that they're operating margin negative. It's not that they're gross margin negative. They are contribution margin negative. This is a very important distinction. The reason being, they can't ramp their way out of unprofitability if they're contribution margin negative. I mean, I was on a different space. Like I was on a macroeconomic space the other day, and some Rivian investor comes up to speaker board, and he goes under my macro analyst, and he's like, "I know who you are. You are blah blah blah. Rivian, don't you think Rivian is at the level that Tesla was?" I'm like, "No, dude." He's like, "Well," he's like, "No, it's the same margin situation." I'm like, "No, like, do you know the difference between contribution margin and gross margin?" He's like, "No." Well, he goes, "Well, I see Rivians all around." I'm like, "Okay, so that's anecdotal evidence." And then he gave a bunch of like personal attacks, and I'm like, "Okay, I tried to explain to you, but you don't want to listen. What do you want me to do?" Machine.
Can you explain more thoroughly what contribution margin is versus gross margin? I mean, I think contribution
Yeah, so
margin
there are different levels of profit margins. Okay, contribution margin is essentially price minus like raw materials. Okay, and maybe just a little bit of like direct labor expense. Gross margin has more expenses accounted for, indirect labor expense like supervisors, and also allocation for depreciation of factory machinery, etc. Okay, so it's much harder to achieve gross margin positive than contribution margin positive. And then operating margin accounts for more expenses. So that would be SG&A, selling, general, administrative, your executives, lawyers, accountants, etc., and also R&D expenses. So it's harder to achieve operating margin positive than gross margin positive, which is harder to achieve contribution. The contribution margin positive is the easiest to achieve, and Rivian hasn't been able to do that. Tesla, as a public company, was never contribution margin negative. So they're not close to being in the same bucket. Okay. And then net profit margin is even harder because it counts for taxes. So these are 4 different measures of profit margins. And they just, sequentially account for more expenses. Machine?
So is there anything in the contribution margin that accounts for scale? Is that wiping out any, like all the depreciation, or I guess like if you increase volume, there's no benefit to contribution margin versus gross margin, unless I guess renewing contracts, I guess that you get the cheaper
exactly.
prices. Yeah,
exactly. That's the only one, but that's very, very small and rare. Like you have to be like multi-million units kind of automaker to have any sort of, and it's like a couple percent maybe. So essentially, there is no benefit to scaling to turn from contribution margin negative to contribution margin positive. The only thing you have to do is to make sure that your product or service on a units basis is priced higher. Like people are willing to pay more for it than what it costs to build it, raw materials. Like it's very basic, and they haven't been able to do that. So when I hear Rivian investors and fans say stuff like, "Oh, Rivian product has better interior quality," well, that's why your freaking contribution margin negative. Like you can't just put all sorts of luxuries into the car if the people are willing to pay for it and expect to be more profitable just because of scale. It doesn't work that way. Machine.
So did you tell, because they don't list, I assume they don't list contribution margin directly in their earnings reports, but you can calculate it by taking their raw input columns. Like, how do you know their contribution margin specifically is still?
You can estimate it by the changes from quarter to quarter, but also Rivian Investment Management has said they made comments in the conference calls as well. The only product that was contribution margin positive, I believe, was the van, and R1T and R1 has never made it to that point. Okay, any other questions? Bull 2035.
Last year and also earlier this year, Rivian was forced to offer great lease rates because at some point you have to ask yourself as a customer, are you going to buy a $90,000 SUV or truck for a company that may be out of business in a couple of years? Think Fisker. So, and that means they have to lower their price even more to sell more. So they're really in a battle.
They lost the battle a year ago. Jimmy.
As a stockholder in Rivian, I see it as I went to the casino, I put my money on black, and it may or may not pay out, but I've lost all of that money. This is not financial advice. By the way, a $80,000 car doesn't mean it's awesome. I've talked to many owners and they complain about doors breaking, locks not working, all types of problems with these vehicles.
Uzi.
Someone was talking about, hate for Tesla as as a thematic motivator to buy Rivian. That got me really amped up. I don't think disliking Tesla necessarily results in investing in Rivian. If you hate Tesla so much, you short Tesla. I look for monopolies and I look for excellence in execution. Rivian is basically the opposite of Tesla in that regard.
Omar.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just worth taking a moment to reflect on the narrative that we heard over the past year or two. And oftentimes you hear these narratives that are a nice story, but don't really reflect reality. So Rivian was the company that was doing everything right. They have RJ Scaringe. He probably hates Trump, right? He's not a Republican. He's a good guy. He's a Democrat. And they did a big TV advertising campaign. Remember that? They were like running ads on the Super Bowl and running ads on TV. And this was supposed to make everyone buy a Rivian, right? Everyone was telling us this is the path to success. And yet the Cybertruck alone is selling more cars than their entire business. It started production way later, but it's going to be profitable faster. It turns out that being successful in this business isn't just about looking good or saying the right things. It's about actually being able to pull off the impossible, to produce these cars profitably. And it is just a hard skill that few possess.
Exactly. Rivian is what Elon haters want Tesla to be. Advertise. Make cars that look traditional. Make them boxy. Make them go further. What else? Bunch of different things that people yell at Elon for. Oh, don't tweet political stuff. Anyway, we have a Rivian. I believe Josh, are you an investor or do you have a Rivian? I know you're a fan of Rivian.
Yeah, I own some Rivian stock, a whole lot of Tesla stock. But I came on to talk because, again, my background is in traditional automotive. And I just want to kind of bring up the point that, there's a lot of Rivian versus Tesla and all of that sort of thing. And I kind of find that silly because the market itself is absolutely massive. But automotive right now is getting their ass handed to them, mainly because of affordability and a lot of unknowns in the world. Rivian's price point of vehicles is very similar to the S and X, which are also getting their asses handed to them. Cybertruck's doing well because it's brand new and it's hot. Just like when the new iPhone comes out, for the first little while,
No, this is wrong. All wrong. Sorry.
No, actually, it's correct.
All wrong.
Actually,
all wrong.
No, it's 100%
Josh,
correct.
This
'Cause I live and
nonsense.
breathe it,
This
yeah, man.
nonsense.
Listen,
This
brother, I got a
nonsense.
decade and a half experience.
Stop. This nonsense can't fly in other spaces, not in my space. Rivian being contribution margin negative has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with interest rates. Okay. They just couldn't lower the cost of production. Period. And Model S and X aren't doing badly because of the price point. It's because Model Y and Model 3 are much better value. And now people are interested in the newest and the best Cybertruck. These are the nonsensical arguments I hear from in Rivian spaces that just don't belong into Tesla Live. Machine.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a weird take in my opinion. I in the Bay Area, there's plenty of people who love Rivian. They love their Rivians. They're very proud of them. And there's a lot of people who want to buy them. And there's also, meanwhile, people who have stickers on their Teslas that say, "Sorry, I bought this before Elon went crazy." Now, take that consideration, and the fact is, even still, Rivian can't make money. This is their best possible situation right now. People want to buy Rivians. They don't want to buy Teslas, allegedly, and yet still they're screwed. So no, it's not about interest rates. It's about they're just not a good engineering company to scale. Scaling automotive's hard.
They suck. They do nothing better than Tesla. Absolutely nothing.
They suck like Omar's mom does.
Yeah. And, you know, like we welcome bulls and bears, like it says in my pin tweet. It's just that we don't welcome stupidity. Sorry. Omar?
Yeah, so, you know, in Q3 2023, Rivian delivered 15,564 vehicles. Q3 2024, they delivered 10,000 vehicles. As they announced this, the Cybertruck, which is already outselling all three of their models combined, is now starting to send out invites for the $80,000 version, which once it qualifies for the tax credit, you know, $72,000. And they say they are going to produce a $60,000 version in 2025. So, you know, it looks like rates are going to stay high. They may not come down as quickly as we like. So do we think these sales are suddenly going to bounce up and they have to ramp production of the R2? They're bleeding cash. I don't say this because I dislike them or there's some type of rivalry. I like Rivian. We actually have Rivian shares, bizarrely, and I'm still holding them. But I think it just sometimes is important to just you say what is actually happening and just say what you see happening, because people invest in these companies, people are customers of these companies. The truth can make a difference in terms of maybe getting stuck with a stock that is not a great stock, or a car that, you know, ultimately isn't going to be supported long term.
Yeah, and the argument that the market is big enough for both Tesla and Rivian is ridiculous argument, because even if the market was 10 times bigger, it still wouldn't make a difference to their lack of execution. They just haven't executed. They haven't lowered the cost of production. Because why? Because they don't have an Elon Musk that goes in there and fires 70% of the people that do nothing. They have
I mean,
a nice
the market is definitely big enough for the both of them, but that's not the issue. The issue is that they lose money every time they sell a car.
Yeah. Jimmy.
Coffee bet for anybody who's willing to take it. Rivian will go out of business before the R3 comes into existence on the mass market within a year. Who wants to take it?
R2 isn't gonna, let alone R3. R2 isn't gonna make it, I think.
Well, we have an R3. It's called a Polestar 3, and they can't even sell those. Like, they tried to give me one yesterday, and I didn't take it.
Neil?
Yeah, so ultimately, Yaman, I think you did the best argument ever. The contribution margin argument is what justifies the Foundation Series Cybertruck. It's ultimately, you know what? We got to bootstrap this thing. And if these EV companies were smart, that's exactly what they do. If Rivian really figured this out, they'd offer some type of high-end premium. They would create a shortage because that's what they need to do. Make it exclusive, earn that money. Tesla did it. I don't know. Maybe they're
Uzi.
failing on the marketing side.
You know, I mean, I'm way more focused on Waymo and Figure than Rivian. The technology is the more interesting part, and if Rivian can't produce at scale, then there's no future for them.
Joey.
Yeah, I'd like to ask a question. Why would Rivian come out and say that it's because of a shared part? Anybody?
What else are they going to say? Because we suck. All source Tesla. I can't hear him. Can you guys hear him?
Negative.
No.
Okay, Dallas.
Yeah, I just want to preface this by saying I am a very small scale Rivian shareholder, and I'm getting absolutely murdered at the moment in that position. But I do want to say that Rivian is Tesla's hot stepsister with an awful credit score. It's a nightmare. Do not get in the pool because it's a bloodbath.
You know, I think that Rivian did have a shortage of buyers.
All right. Man, I learned so much in the last 2 years. Just don't underestimate people in either way. Drew Soul tipped $5 as a super chat on YouTube. Thank you, Drew, again. I think Last Gerbil sold all his Tesla shares at 170-ish to buy Rivian at 17. Genius Sports. Yeah, support Tesla Live sponsors and hit that like button, says Drew. I agree. Uzi.
I'm just confused why retail investors, other than the politics, would invest in Rivian. There's a lot going on with AI right now. There's a lot of places you could put your money, but you choose a dying company. If someone can explain what the interest is, other than hating Elon, I'd like to know.
Interest in what?
What's the interest in Rivian except for hating Elon?
There is none. I mean, I think that's like they do. Look, listen. They, credit due. Let's give credit where it's due, which is they do have good-looking products according to their owners. The owners love the products. There are some people who just, I know it riles you. I don't get it either, but they don't like Elon, they don't like Tesla, and therefore they want to buy Rivian. That they see it as the alternative to Tesla and Elon. And it's just that there aren't that many people who wants to do that and also are willing to pay $100K for a vehicle when there's an alternative at half the price. That's better. So, Bogdan.
Hi, Yaman. Hi, everybody. I have a question. Do you know the $80,000 Cybertruck? I have two of those in order. I'm gonna have to wait when my line will come, or I can actually go and pick them up right now.
Yeah, they're emailing people based on the order they reserved. So you should get an email, watch out for that, and if you get it, then you can order the non-foundation Cybertruck.
All source Tesla.
Yeah, Rivian's their problem is they have to make the car better while also lowering their production costs, and that's just not going to happen. Right now, the R1S is $75,000 to $106,000. The Kia EV9, because Kia has another business that makes money, it costs almost half that. They have an electric SUV that has the same storage space as the R1S at $55,000. So Rivian, they had a decade, 5 years to play in the market by themselves with their truck and their SUV, and now that's not happening. Now, that's not the case.
Edward.
Yeah, to sum up my opinion, Rivian's not going to make it. It's manufacturing that's hard, not making a concept car. Tesla's probably going to have 30 to 40% of the long-term market, just because there's going to be a lot of companies going by the wayside. And Model 3, the version hardware 3 will not make robotaxi, in my opinion.
Okay. You guys want to talk about 1010? That's enough reading, I think. Joey, did you get a chance to talk?
Yeah, I did. I asked the question of
Okay.
why I really make the statement.
Okay, great. 1010. Omar?
Yeah, one last thing I'll say on Rivian is the EV9 has been a big issue for them. It's really in that lucrative segment they had all to themselves, the sort of large SUV segment, and it's already outselling the Rivian R1S. So on one end they're getting,
Which is exactly what we predicted in this space.
yeah, and on one end they're getting squeezed by the Kia EV9. On the other end they're getting squeezed by Cybertruck, which is expanding and lowering
And
in
the Model
price.
Y. And the Model
Yeah,
Y.
yeah, and that's going to have an upgrade as well. So I mean, I think really you have to bring down the cost. Essentially, you have to cheapen the product. You have to make the product worse to get it profitable at a time when competitors are really pressing on you, while also ramping your next gen low cost platform. It's a really challenging. I don't even know if Elon could figure out a way out of this mess.
He can. He can. If Elon became the CEO of Rivian right now, that company would survive. No question about it. Neil.
Yeah, so I'd like to say that I think Tesla has deliberately left gaps in the EV marketplace for Rivian and others. And what I mean by that is, Tesla is a very sexy company. The cars are fast, right? They're city cars. They've left holes. Where's the Ford Explorer? Where's the Toyota Highlander competition, right? Where's the van competition, etc. I think Tesla has been strategic with, we are going to be the excellence. We will show you how to do this. And ultimately, if you want to be a B-level player, there's a lot of room if you can do it.
Dallas.
So I think there's holes in the market.
I don't think Rivian's even worth the conversation. And again, I'm saying that as a shareholder. Like, they're not in the autonomy space. Tesla's, comparing these two companies just seems silly to me, and to my opinion. But I don't know.
Oh, the other thing Drew reminded me on YouTube live chat is there are people who are like saying, "Oh, Apple should buy Rivian, or Ford should buy Rivian, or this company, that company should buy Rivian." Rivian has nothing to offer to people. Nothing. I can't think of one thing. Like, what do they do better than Tesla? Nothing. Omar?
Well, I wouldn't say they have nothing of value, but taking that cash burn and putting it on your balance sheet is not something that Apple wants or anybody wants. That could really wreck Apple's financials, right? It's not really that trivial, even if you have money. The problem isn't the cost to buy it. The problem is the cost to run it, right? And figuring out what to do with it. So really, just in terms of the competitive positioning of the products, two reasons why buying a Rivian R1T is a mistake compared to buying the Cybertruck. Other than that, it's a smaller truck. You have steer by wire. Okay, steer by wire is a game changer. It makes this thing so fun and easy to drive. It is just the coolest thing. It's not available in any other vehicle. So that is just something that the Rivian can't compete on. And now with FSD, I mean, it is so awesome just sitting there in this comfortable, cushy Cybertruck with this air suspension and just having it take you around town. And Rivian and their autonomy plus solution can't compete with that at all.
All right, we're going to switch out of Rivian. We're going to talk about 1010. But first, I'm going to give a shout out to sponsors. And in the meantime, I would like everyone with 500 people in the YouTube X space right now to go up to the top of our screens and click that YouTube link and click the like button. If every person in the space right now did it, this space would be contribution margin positive, a milestone that Rivian never achieved in its 10 plus year existence. And we can't do it in 6 months. All right. So I need everyone in the space to go up to the top of our screens, hit that like button. When we get to 200 likes, we will talk about 1010. Thank you to our sponsors. Tesla Live is proudly sponsored by Joa, your go-to source for premium Tesla accessories. Because you're part of the Tesla Live community, Joa is hooking you up. Use code TSLA Live for a special discount at the checkout. And Paymore. Paymore buys, sells, recycles electronics because Paymore believes the best technology doesn't have to come at the cost of our planet or your wallet. Join the Paymore revolution. Visit one of the 100 stores near you or visit paymore.com. Wow, we already got 200. That's amazing. Whoa. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. I really appreciate that. All right, let's go to 1010. Man, so many requests to speak. Okay. Machine, let's start with you. I missed hearing from you in the last 10 minutes. Any wild speculations for 1010?
Pass. I don't know.
Okay. She's out of jokes. He tried to think of something about my mom and just couldn't muster it up. Jimmy?
Do we want to go down the McDonald's path again or just avoid all that?
I like McDonald's. Go ahead.
Well, I think Elon and everybody is going to show up and just bring McDonald's as a funny joke because that would be amazing. But no chicken on those, not Big Macs.
I honestly, it would be amazing if Elon actually ate like a Big Mac or something on stage. Machine.
Well, I think on 1010, Elon's going to admit to us that he's been eating McDonald's every day for the past year, and that's why he's so fat. And he's going to announce he's going to have a McDonald's shirt on, but then he's going to tear it off, and there's going to be a Popeye shirt underneath, and he's going to announce that he's going on a Popeye's diet. He's seen my tweets and my exercise regimen, and he's decided to pivot. You know, Elon's known for, failing fast and making quick decisions. And so he's going to realize he's going to follow my routine. And that's what 1010's all about. I'm just waiting for him to invite me to the stage. It hasn't happened yet, but I'm pretty sure he needs me there.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's get you an invite first. Would you go if you got an invite? First of all, what if Elon said to you, Machine, I will get you an invite, but first you have to upgrade the hardware through cloud?
I would not go on that requirement. But
wow. Okay, never mind.
If I got an invite for free, it's LA, I might go. Yeah.
Okay. So invite and transportation. Dallas.
Well, Omar's going to drive me.
Yeah, I have a prediction that I'll be willing to make a coffee bet on. None of this robo-taxi stuff works without no human required charging solutions, whether that be Optimus or a wireless charging mat of some sort. I'm almost 100% confident they're going to demonstrate some sort of solution to supercharging without a human involved.
They have to, yeah. Jimmy?
Man, it would be so easy to retrofit every single charger with some detachable cable, and then I could summon my car all the way at the end of the parking lot where it's getting supercharged. This is my dream.
All right. Kwai.
Well, FSD is just working incredible over here on the Cybertruck, and I don't want to get off topic, but I'm sure that has a lot to do with incredible the robotaxis are going to be. So I'm just saying robotaxi is going to be awesome.
Thank you. I see your pictures that you post from Hawaii, Kauai. It's amazing. Some of the pictures you post with your Cybertruck and the sunsets. Just what a beautiful place you live in.
Thanks, Yaman. And I'm just beginning.
Not jealous at all. Uzi.
Yeah, I'm quite confident we're going to get 3 products: the 25K car, Cybervan unveil, and a robotaxi unveil. I mean, I don't know what the timeline would be for the, production, but it's a vehicle unveil.
Okay, Omar, do you think there will be a Cybervan unveil on 1010?
There probably won't be a van. I don't think there's going to be any McDonald's. Seems like that promotion had nothing to do with Tesla whatsoever. But it was fun to speculate on. I think obviously
you don't think Elon's gonna walk on stage with a burger in his hand?
I mean, he might honestly after all this. Who knows? We'll see. Maybe they'll have Optimus, just have some McDonald's or something. But yeah, I think Machine will be excited by the event, and his mom will be excited too, because in addition to the Cybercab, I think it's really going to focus on Optimus.
Edward.
Yeah, I think the three things that I'm excited about, I think they're going to have the cyber van, at least some sort of, they might not actually have the van, but they're going to have definitely a model for it. And Optimus, for sure, he's definitely coming out. And some sort of food delivery. I think they're going to poke the bear a little bit with Uber Eats and DoorDash.
Interesting. Neil?
Oh, my apologies. My context is gone. Skip. Thank you.
Dallas?
Yeah, I think something we haven't really touched on is if they're dipping their toes into the robotic space outside of the vehicle market, maybe there's a space in between the two where things you see like in California where they're driving on the sidewalks, delivering food to buildings and stuff. That could be something that we could see.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to everything that Optimus has to bring on 1010. Let's go to John.
Hello, everybody. I had a question. So I have a 2020 Model 3 long range. Love this car, but I'm looking to get the new 2024 Model 3 Performance. But really, I'm just looking for from a hardware 3 to hardware 4 standpoint. Like, does it make enough difference to upgrade? What do y'all think?
Omar?
There are a lot of reasons to upgrade, and hardware 3 to hardware 4 is definitely one of them.
Absolutely.
You're not going to regret it. If you go from a 2020 to 2024, you're going to be like, oh my God, they made this thing so much better. It's not even funny. And they're going to have some crazy sales offers this quarter. So be on the lookout. You can use your own referral code, get $1,000 off loyalty discount. If you refer friends, they can give you up to $5,000 off the new car. They're doing inventory discounts. So there's going to be some great deals this quarter. I really recommend everyone take advantage of it. And hardware 4 is going to drive better than hardware 3 over time. Right now, the difference is not that much. It's a little bit, but it's going to get bigger over time. So if you have the latest hardware, it's going to be a nicer, more comfortable experience longer term.
Okay, great. We have a bunch of hands up, a bunch of requests to speak, but we're running low on likes right now. If we get to 300 plus, we're going to keep the space going. We have half hour to get to 300 plus. So I need everyone in the space, 450 people, to go up the top of our screens and hit that like button. So we're going to take a 30-second break for people to do that, because sometimes people kind of say, no, I don't want to miss what's being talked about and everything. So just we're going to take a time real quick. Everybody do your breathing exercises. Go to the bathroom. And I will be back in 30 seconds. Uh, 233. 233. We need 234. We need 66 people out of 450 people to do it right now.
If we click the like button, do you want us to click it again?
No, I don't think you can do that. But what you can do is engage in live chats, which also drives engagement. So that kind of pushes it out to more people. You can share the video with your followers, friends, family, colleagues, haters, Rivian investors. They're gonna love this space. Let's go to Christoph. Christoph.
Hey, thank you. I think what's interesting about the McDonald's announcement, and maybe it won't have anything related to McDonald's at the end of the day, but with robo taxis driving down the cost of basically movement in general, not just people, but also food. I think the interest in doing the Uber Eats type model becomes a lot more interesting. And I think designing the car to have a better experience for an Uber Eats delivery makes a lot of sense. And so if a front trunk had insulation, had maybe cup holders, other things like that, keeping the food warm, keeping the food cold, improving that overall delivery experience, I think that would be an interesting outcome.
Thank you. Kansu.
Yeah, question for you guys. So let's say, assuming the FSD supervised launches in Asia, Europe next year, do you guys think there's a probability of Tesla releasing FSD supervised as a standard feature?
Omar?
Well, it's interesting that the Cybertruck has basic autopilot listed for those who buy a non-foundation series now. So it's now possible to buy a Cybertruck without FSD. And they have some form of basic autopilot, yet when you look on the Cybertruck, there is no basic autopilot stack. So it's either FSD or nothing. So I wonder if they finally finished that new free version of FSD 12 that could maybe, drive in one lane without following navigation directions, maybe, but still go around cars, do some more advanced maneuvers. That could be a really powerful driver of conversions. If they can ship a more powerful free version of autopilot to not only Cybertruck, but the rest of the fleet, that's going to get a lot more people interested in upgrading to the full FSD experience.
All source.
I think I want to see Tesla open a like a Tesla rideshare network where all that I take are Teslas, and I think they can undercut, Uber, Hertz, their leasing options. The rear-wheel drive Model 3, well, they don't have that anymore, but or yeah, they do, just the long range. But they could have like not the 25,000, but the $30,000 vehicle, and say, you do they can bundle it with charging to kind of get rid of the charging concern that a driver might have, and then they can make their money back on the charging revenue. Or they could, if you do 100 rides in the month, then you get, full self-driving for free, something like that. Yeah, I think that Uber's, they're getting really, really big. They're becoming a really strong company, and I think as soon as Tesla launches a lower cost model, it would be important for them to kind of get in the rideshare business.
Omar, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would really love to hear some news on the Tesla network. I think that there has been some motion. They've shown us some designs of the ride sharing app. From what I understand, it's not just designs, they've actually started implementing some of this. So, I mean, any color on the launch of the Tesla rideshare network, I think would be very interesting. I'm hopeful that they actually start with a supervised service that's powered by FSD and then expand into unsupervised. Maybe they could even, announce a test market. Like, I don't think it's out of the cards to say, hey, we're going to launch a driverless service in Chandler, Arizona next year.
Yeah, the Invite also has a camera, but the outside ring is the same as the Summon feature, and I think that could be hinting at they're going to talk more about the Tesla network, or they'll release it. And one cool thing that I think that that network would have is all your profile, like your Netflix, YouTube, Hulu, like your Tesla arcade and theater profile is across the network. So you can get into a, Tesla and pick up your, whatever you were watching last time, or you could start playing, video game, playing games on the back screen. I think the screen probably needs to be a little bit bigger if it's a purpose-built robotaxi vehicle or rideshare / robotaxi vehicle.
Okay,
but
let me ask you a question. When do you expect the first commercial robotaxi ride?
I think I don't know, 1 to 2 years. But it could be 3 months from now if they want to geofence it in a certain area.
So let me ask you, when do you think we're gonna have 1,000 vision only Tesla robotaxis on the roads?
Well, I'm thinking 10,000 is the number to go for, but
okay, 10,000. When?
Yeah, 10,000 would be, I would say, at least I'd say 1 to 2 years.
1 to 2 years. Okay. And we have another interesting prediction from this guy called David Bollner. I don't know who that is. I'm kidding. I know who that is. David says, calling food delivery all from the Tesla app. Don't ask me how I know this info. The participants of the event will be involved in the event itself. That's why it's being done in Studio City. The event will be mostly a real-world demo of people leaving restaurants, hailing rides, calling food delivery, all from the Tesla app. Interesting. Just wait for 1010. It's going to blow your mind. A true glimpse into the future. Uzi.
Yeah, my point is on food delivery. I don't see this, the stars lining up with that until first they have to have the robotaxi network set up, and then you have to think about it are the the restaurants going to walk out to the robotaxi? And then you have to consider if that's the case, then you need Optimus. So then it delays that. And if they don't have a partnership with DoorDash or Uber Eats, then and they're trying to go full integration, it kind of just doesn't make sense to take that until Optimus and Robotaxi are really set up. So that's 3-4 years in the future. I mean, I'd love to take Uber Eats' business from them and Uber's business. I just don't really see how that would really be a priority.
Okay. We're going to talk more about this. 18-minute warning. We have 18 minutes and we are running low on likes right now. 257 likes. To keep the space going, we have to get to 300. Okay, so 43 likes. I think Uzi is going to make an appeal, a cry for more likes for us. Uzi?
I do want to say, just like the Tesla Supercharger network likes power this space, I think we have a quite diverse panel, coast to coast and beyond. I know some of our foreigners aren't here, or Swedes missing, but this is the best space that's every day, and you can count on it to get Tesla news and beyond. And there's not many spaces where you can actually ask a question and become a speaker. So, 10 out of 10 in my book.
Thank you. We do actually have a very global audience. I was looking at where the clicks are coming from, and I noticed we have a fan base in Nigeria. I don't know what that's about. There's this one city in Nigeria. There's a lot of clicks coming. Tansu.
Yeah. So a friend of mine is looking into buying a Model X in Canada, and he was told the wait time is about 3 months. So that's 2025. Do you guys think there's a possibility that with the Cybertruck non-foundation series launching and Roadster 2.0 coming next year, is there a possibility that the new production line for Roadster and new platform will power Model S and X?
Yeah, I don't know about Roadster coming next year. I think Tesla has a lot of fish to fry before that. I don't know. Omar, what do you think?
Yeah, We haven't heard an update about the Roadster in a while. So it's going to be made in Fremont eventually, but they do have a lot on their plate.
Yeah. We are up to 260. We need 40 more in the next 10 minutes to keep it going for another 15, 20 minutes. So please, let's take a 30-second break. 30-second break for people to do that. We have about 430 people in here. 30-second break to go like the YouTube video. It's top of your screens. You have to click into the YouTube link, and the like button is right below the video. Jimmy, what else can I do? I mean, your experience with YouTube channels, what else can I do to get the 1,000 people who enjoy this space daily to take action?
So better than likes is shares. You always want to have everybody share because shares, they just bring in more viewer traffic, even if it's only for 30 seconds. It doesn't matter. Shares spread further and further, and then more people share. Likes can come later. I'm not saying don't like the video. They can still like the video, but sharing's the best thing you can possibly do with your channel.
Like, subscribe, share. Thank you, Jimmy. Edward.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that. I think this channel is probably the most underappreciated channel that's on X when it comes to anything related to Tesla and autonomy. And I think the host is also very unappreciated. I know he's a little rough around the edges sometimes, but if you're going to run the space in a correct fashion, you have to be. He's hard, but he's fair. And everybody should be constantly sharing and doing everything they can, because do you want to see this space go away where you have to see today's news yesterday, or do you want to see today's news now every day?
Yeah, it's actually very often nowadays that we talk about things the day or 2 days before it starts kind of spreading out there. So, and it's live. So a lot of times what happens is during this space, we'll get news, and obviously you'll hear about it in here first because of that. Drew Soul just took $20 on Super Chat, and he said, keep it going, great spaces, expand the time. So Drew financed this episode along with my sponsors, Paymore, Joa, and Dylan also tipped $1, and he said, I want to add a joke about Machine's mom, but he couldn't, apparently. And then, yeah, Drew also tipped another $5 before that. All right, let's keep it going. 15 more minutes. Thank you, Drew Soul. Jimmy.
Catchy titles, thumbnails, that's a big way to bring people in. Anyways, I had this question. I'm very curious to see what the format is going to be of the 1010 event. Like, I would expect, because they're going to give out rides or robo taxi, like, there's got to be cameras just everywhere, like in cars, around. Like, it would be interesting to figure out like what company is like gonna film this and see if we can get like a conversation with them, even if it's after. I would find that fascinating just to figure out all that stuff.
Dallas.
I think that's a very interesting point, and I want to piggyback off that because the Cybertruck delivery event was kind of funny in the complete opposite way, that it was for such a big company almost kind of laughable. The production quality was pretty low. So I'm expecting this one to be a completely, 180 turn from that. Like you said, cameras in all the vehicles. I actually also think that the participants are going to be the event itself, right? I think if it's centered around the app, they're going to have, it's in Studio City. So it's going to be like a fake city, right? So they're going to have the participants coming in, using the app, hailing cars. I can't wait. It's going to be interesting.
Vic Sarkar.
Right. Yeah, I have a question for Omar. So, this is just something I was thinking about, like with the end-to-end neural net portion, say from V12 onwards. Do you have an idea of how they're doing the visualization to the driver Because in my head, if you have a complete, like, let's say a black box of video cam footage in and steering and whatever accelerator pedal, like controls out, the visualization, say, portion of the stack probably doesn't know the next 10 seconds of the horizon of path planning to show you where the car is probably going to go or what's going to show up. So do you know how they'd probably do this? Would they still try to keep a separate visualization stack that's probably not aligned to the neural net in the background, or is there something else you think they're probably doing?
Omar?
Yes.
I think that the visualization is coming directly from the output of the model. So you can tell the model, hey, okay, give me the direction to turn the wheel, but also give me the locations of cars, that type of thing. And you can train it to do both. So I'm not exactly sure how the visualization works. Maybe it is just some separate visualization stack that's there just to make us feel better. But I think it should be possible to align the visualization to what the model is thinking internally by asking the model to output additional parameters other than just, the steering wheel and pedal outputs.
Quick word of thank you to Smith Wimberly for tipping $20 on X via Cash App. He says, appreciate. Smith says, appreciate as alive. Thank you, Smith. Wow. Oh, wow. 2X21 tipped $4.20 on YouTube. Thank you very much. Let's go to Edward.
Yeah, I'm going to make a deal with you, Yaman. When you hit 1,000 likes on your YouTube video, I will transfer you a share of Tesla, whatever that value may be.
Sounds good. Thank you. Deal. I accept. Technical superstitious.
Technical supporticus, but appreciate it. Appreciate being up here. I had a quick question. I'm loving V12. I have the latest Smart Summon, latest everything on my Model 3. It is fantastic. Yaman, what's your personal experience in your Tesla? How are you liking it?
I don't own a Tesla. I have access to friends' Teslas. I've tested every FSD update over the years.
Gotcha. Awesome. Thank you.
Jimmy.
Yeah, quick question. What's your format going to be on 1010? Are you going to host this room? Are we going to have like any boots on the ground for people going? Maybe they can like co-host or something. Like, that'd be really interesting to see.
1010 isn't until 5 that day, and this show takes place at 10 a.m. to noon. So we'll be able to do the show as normal before I go into 1010.
Yeah, but are we going to have anything like before that? Like, I've watched a lot of people where, they're commenting on an Apple event while it's going on, and they'll mute sound or they'll bring things in and have discussions while it's going. Do you guys do you want to plan on having anything like that or no?
Yeah, we can. I mean, we can do something like what I did with the earnings call, earnings release and call. We can do that. We'll have our regular space, and then we'll probably do something on YouTube. I'll probably do something on YouTube because Omar isn't going to be here. Obviously, he's going to be at the event. A lot of people will be at the event, and we can kind of listen together on YouTube, and then I can take some notes or something. We can discuss it in live chat in the meantime. Jimmy, how does that sound?
Yeah, it sounds pretty good, man. It's just I like watching events where other people can communicate with and get like ideas and feedback like right away.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I think that would be fun. For those who couldn't make it to the event, we can watch together and chat in the meantime. So if you want to join that, go up to the top of our screens and subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's where it's going to happen.
I would recommend maybe doing something after. I think this is going to be one where when the event's happening, you watch the event.
Well, we'll be watching together.
Yeah,
right?
well, I have to go, so I can't come either
No,
way.
I know, but I'm saying we as in Tesla Live. I know you're not going to be able to make it. A lot of people won't be able to make it because they're going to be at the event. And now we can keep it going. You can join whenever you want. Six in cyberspace. Cyberspace, you have to unmute yourself for us to hear you. All right. Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, one suggestion, right? You're asking people to like the video. If they just open the video and like it, the average view duration will get very low. So that's the most important stat for YouTube viewership. So click-through rate
Don't worry
and the
about
average.
it.
Yeah.
I've looked at a lot of data. Just do what I say. Go to the link, like the video. We are way over the average on average view duration anyway. That's not the missing piece here. Okay. People love it. They love watching this thing. They love participating. They love coming to the space. And there's a good reason. We have an excellent group of speakers. We have the best information on Tesla, on Rivian, on NVIDIA, on a bunch of other companies, on macroeconomics. We have a group of first principles thinkers, and they work well together. They challenge each other. We have a good amount of humor. They tease each other. People love coming in and hanging out here. I see it in the data. I slice and dice it. Trust me, I'm keeping an eye on this very closely. What's missing is likes. Okay, you have to go up. If everyone, I'm telling you, if every single person who came to the space daily went up and liked it right now, this channel would be more popular than CNBC on YouTube and Bloomberg on YouTube. Just do it. And I think it's going to go a long way in terms of fighting misinformation about Tesla and EVs in general. So Dallas.
Yeah, I just want to touch on the importance of likes. I'm in the content marketing space, and I know someone mentioned shares are important, which they are, but likes are beyond important. That's how we spread our videos.
Yeah, it's
to
like
YouTube.
it's literally a 1-to-1 ratio.
Exactly.
In terms
That's
of
correct.
it's ridiculous. Like it's super direct. The shares are good in terms of like when you share with other people, if they kind of become a returning customer and they also like it, then obviously that helps, but that's more indirect.
Yep.
Christoph?
Yeah, one quick thing around the likes. It took me probably about 2 times to figure out that there was the YouTube link in the header, and to actually go there because I was just liking within the space. But that's my bad. But that might just be something to just
It's you're
YouTube
so
link.
right. Like if I look at the tweet, 74 people like the tweet at the top. That's not what I mean when I say go into the video. You have to click into the video that's in the tweet and go to the YouTube or search it on YouTube, TSLA Live. You'll find it. Subscribe to the channel. We're actually growing really fast too. Like we're growing well. We just have to it's a hustle period right now. We got to hustle.
Yeah, I very much appreciate the discussion and the content in here. One quick comment around the visualizations on the Tesla. So I've been on full self-driving for a while and also on Cybertruck. And I do personally notice a difference between the visualizations as well as the kind of the reactions on the road. So I think there's a separation in the technology stack. But I think that separation is probably a useful thing, right? Just because I think when you're wanting that car to react, you probably don't want it to have to think about other things as well. And so having some level of separation between what you see and how it reacts, there may be some architectural and safety benefits in making sure it's processing things differently. And then on the machine learning front, it's doing object detection is probably more straightforward and more purpose built, so it can run more efficiently than some of the other models. So just a few points there, and open to feedback as well.
Jimmy. By the way, we just crossed 300 likes. Congratulations, everybody. Jimmy.
I just got a couple notifications from friends online saying that their Model S's are now receiving an update. So if you have a Model S, go out and check to see if you have any updates.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And FSD unsupervised.
I just wanted to say that a 1010 watch party on YouTube would be freaking excellent. I would definitely tune in with some, reaction afterwards. And I want to say one more thing. Omar, I sent you a direct message. If you could please just look at it. If you don't reply to me, I understand. But I'm just asking for help on one situation. And if you could reply, that'd be great.
Robert.
Hey, Yaman. I logged in under 3 different YouTube accounts and liked your video one time each. Just FYI, when I logged into an account that I've never accessed your YouTube channel before, I typed Tesla Live, couldn't find it. I typed Tesla Live episode 195, nothing in the search results. I had to go to your individual channel and scroll to find the episode. So just
Yeah,
FYI.
exactly. That's the reason for that is because we only have 3,000 subscribers. Once we get to 10,000, it'll be much easier to find it.
I
And
see.
it'll get to like an organic growth mode. But we have to get there. We got to hustle. It's a community effort. We have to hustle and just get there. But we're doing well. Like we're on the way. Don't get me wrong. Like we're actually moving really fast. So 305 likes right now. Amazing. Really amazing. This is on a Friday, no news Friday, basically. We should probably talk sometime. Alexander?
Yeah, I just discovered the next leg up for Tesla. It will be insulin production with all the food that they're gonna bring you.
Alexander is a big fan of America's Uniburgers. Let's see, who's next? Lauren.
Hey, I was wanted to compliment you on the Palantir space yesterday. I really enjoyed that, and I had an idea that I was curious about. I know Omar has talked about trying to set up an effort to use the API to collect autopilot data and get us a little clearer sense of that. I'm not sure how active he is on that, but is there any chance that that could be built on top of one of these Palantir introductory programs? And if there could be, I love Omar, and I think he has a gift for explaining some of these things to those of us that aren't quite so technical. And I would love for him to go through that process and then explain it to the rest of us if that was a thing that was possible.
Yeah, so the project is progressing. I've been moving, so it's been moving kind of slowly, but we are importing data now from my vehicles and logging it. The guy from the team who worked on it actually DM'd me and said, "Hey, let me give you some tips. You can use this option and it'll kind of output JSON instead of protocol buffers." So I got it working. I think it's promising. I don't think we need Palantir for it. It's just kind of overkill. Palantir is like this big, expensive, piece of software that Fortune 500 companies use, and this is like a small, independent, community data set. So I don't think we need Palantir for it at all, but we can import the data from the cars and just do some basic calculations on the stats that we're seeing.
Yeah, to be clear, I'm not implying that you would need Palantir. My dream is I also own Palantir stock, and I would just love to hear your take and your personal experience attempting to use it, just to get a little more of an insider view on what it's like to actually try and set up the software.
I never got past the sign up process somehow. I need to go back and try and sign up. I mean, honestly, I really like the Palantir guys, and I like Palantir. I own some shares because they're S&P 500 included, but it also kind of, you know, I don't know. You know, I'm not in love with the company and their products. I think it's a little different than Tesla, right? With Tesla, you have a lot of investors who really use the product and they know how good it is. And with Palantir, I sat through this whole presentation on what they do, and I think I understand it a little better, but it's still a little like somebody, we can't really tell you, but there's some really cool things that they're doing with this. And I don't know, it just kind of makes me scratch my head a little bit. That's probably what keeps me from having a larger position. But they seem to be doing a lot of outreach, with the community and everything, trying to build up this community. But that also to me kind of is like, why do you care so much? I don't know. Um, and I know a lot of people love the company, so I try to avoid, you know, saying bad things about it or anything. But it's a company that's growing on me, but not one where I really understand the business as well as Tesla.
Jimmy. Hey, Omar, by the way, I wanted to ask you, would you be able to do our Waymo versus FSD deeper conversation either tonight or tomorrow or Sunday?
Yeah, Sunday could be good.
Okay, Sunday we're going to record deeper conversation about Waymo versus FSD. It's going to go out to YouTube members first for a week, and then it's going to go out to wide public release. And I was going to ask one more thing, but I forget. Gimme.
I don't have my hand up.
Okay, cool. All right. Any other questions, comments from the speaker board? Robert, do you have anything?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, Dallas.
Yeah, just a random thing. I received that little wireless battery charger they put on the storefront. It is completely worth the $95 price tag. It's the coolest little. It beats any Anchor product I've ever used. It's awesome.
Okay, I have a comment on that. I just
Go
got
ahead.
mine today too, and I didn't realize it was for iPhone only. I'm very upset. I went back and looked at the product description. I wrote them a feedback email. It doesn't mention it anywhere in the descriptions that it's for iPhone only. Just saying.
Wait, what is this product?
It's a wireless charger, so you can charge your earpods and your phone at the same time. And nowhere in the product description does it mention. It just says wireless charger, and it doesn't mention that it's only. It requires the magnetic backing of the iPhone because it has to levitate magnetically on the charger, which was not clear at all. They didn't mention that.
This is from Tesla's site, right?
Yeah, shop.tesla.com, $95.
Okay. Dallas and then Northern.
Yeah, unfortunately it is MagSafe, which for non-iPhone users is a frustration I understand. But I'm just speaking of the build quality. I mean, they put some engineering time into this, which is really cool.
Yeah, it looks beautiful. The packaging was gorgeous. Everything was sleek. I got so excited. And I went to put my phone on it and it, fell off because there's no magnet.
Nathan.
I'm traveling to the 1010 event in Los Angeles. I'm only going to be there for about 26 hours. I realized I can use camp mode, sleep in the back of the Tesla, and not pay for lodging. And I was wondering, does anybody who's familiar with the LA area recommend a place where you can park overnight for free without someone like stealing your wheels? And I mean, I'm not traveling with women and children. I don't need to get lodging. I can shower before and after. I'm away there for about a day.
Omar, do you know any?
Well, there's one thing we have in this city, it's parking.
All right, Dallas. I mean,
Yeah,
if anybody knows the spot, just reach out to Nathan. He's on the speaker board right now. Dallas.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's LA. You can just sleep anywhere. They don't really have homeless laws.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, there's a guy sleeping on the end of my street. He's been there for weeks.
There is no practical
No.
non-free option. It's airport parking. It's $16 a day. It's fenced off. So, I mean, $16 is almost nothing. But yeah, free is even better.
Okay. Tesla Live, bring the Tesla news, Rivian discussions, and parking recommendations. And I think we're kind of hit the topics, everything we want to cover today. There's going to be more. We also hit 320 likes. I'm going to leave the X space open for a couple of minutes for people that on your way out. Please make sure to go to the top of our screens, hit the YouTube link, which will open up a YouTube the YouTube video, and the like button is right below the video. Thank you very much, everybody. Omar, I'm going to reach out to you to schedule that Sunday conversation, and now we will be back on Monday with Tesla Live. Take care, everybody. Enjoy your weekends.